The Black Stars of Ghana returned from Equatorial Guinea, not with the AFCON Cup, but many of you will agree that they did incredibly well at the feat they managed to achieve before coming home yesterday. There were many who, before the match, didn't give the Black Stars any chance at all, but they won, although the initial game had some hiccups, but they rose through the challenge and came home not as winners, but did incredibly well. Tonight I have with me the Honourable Minister of Sports, Mahama Yarega, who will be talking to us about the Black Stars, his impressions about how the team performed, preparations before, and moving on how we could prep up the team so they would do much better than they did. This is today's big story. Honourable, we're great to have you. We're happy to have you. How are you, sir?
I'm okay.
You must be full of praise for the Black Stars. If I asked you your impressions, I'm sure you're not going to say bad things at all. What are your impressions?
It's sad that they couldn't lift the trophy. I think they got there. Everybody saw what happened.
They could have won it.
Well, I think they did their best. Sometimes it's luck, I think, plays a role in football. If you say they could have, it's as if you want to blame them for not
winning. Yeah.
I think they did as much as anybody under those circumstances could do. They were facing an opponent that everybody had thought would just run over the Black Stars because of the members of their team, the quality of their players, the number of strikers. They have world-class strikers and all that. And even their physical, look, their height, their everything. People thought that, by all standards, the Ivorians had comparatively a better advantage than the Black Stars. But they played very well. They had a very good tactical arrangement that enabled them to contain the Ivorians and played them for 90 minutes and another 30 minutes. And at the end of the second 30 minutes, clearly they demonstrated they still had strength and stamina to continue. So I would say that they did very well. And you don't just assess a team by the last match. They started with some challenges against Senegal, but from that match onwards, it was just improvement upon improvement upon improvement until the finals, and the final capped it all because it was a very improved game.
But what was the expectation of the sports ministry, regarding what you wanted the team to achieve? Did you have specific expectations?
For me, the expectation really was, how do we address the immediate past situation that the team was coming out of? That basically,
you're referring to the issues emanating from Brazil,
and the general public disaffection for the team and the negative impressions that had been generated about the team and all that. And so for us, having an opportunity to go into another tournament not too far after that was an opportunity to redeem ourselves. What will we do to demonstrate to people that we are not what they think we are, that was just a one-off incident, and we have character, and we have the discipline, and we are determined and committed to our country. For the team going into the tournament, this was really the main objective. And having discussions with them, the key issue was to do your best in such a way that it is demonstrated that you have done your best. And we didn't want to put pressure on them. We just said, just do your best. If you do your best in a match, chances are that you will win it. But even when you don't win, people watching know that you did your best, and that is what they will admire. And you show that through your determination, through hard work, and the kind of sacrifice that you make. For me, my highest point in the tournament, frankly speaking, was that goal that Asamoah scored.
Yeah.
Because that goal demonstrated, you know, a player who was willing to do anything for his country. Because it was a last minute, and it wasn't a goal that one would say, I mean, the pass that was given wasn't really a unique pass. It was just an ordinary pass, and any ordinary player would have just run a bit and then allowed that ball to go. But, you know, he felt he had to do whatever it took to win the game. So that goal demonstrated somebody who was willing to do whatever it took for his country, somebody who was so determined and would sacrifice the last ounce of energy, if that's the measurement that he had, to salvage his country. And it changed the history of our participation in the tournament. And thereafter, you know, everybody in the camp's mood changed, and there was renewed confidence, and you know, they started really working together and fighting together. And the coach is excellent. I mean, he's a coach in every sense, beyond just training you to be able to play good football, beyond just having a sense of what strategy to deploy. I mean, he knew how to groom great talents, how to inspire them, how to bring out the best out of them, how even when they are facing an opponent that everybody, you know, believes this is an excellent team that you are going to challenge, and they are skillful. We played the world's best team. Yeah. You know, I mean, Africa's best team, number one team. When we met them, you couldn't tell that they were Africa's best team. It was because the coach managed to convince our players that they are the best, actually, and they could be the best if they, you know, apply themselves.
It means that, I mean, apart from, you just mentioned that the coach did extremely well. I mean, GFA President Nyantichi also made the same reference yesterday when we spoke to him. So beyond that, do you have concerns with the tactical approach that the team adopted to get to where they got to?
No, I mean,
tactically, you think the team was solid?
I'm not an expert in football, so I cannot claim to, you know, understand tactics better than the coach and his technical team. But what I observed was that they paid attention to very tactical issues. He had a video analyst and an assistant coach, and each match was preceded by a very careful analysis of the opponent and then of our boys and how to handle any given opponent. And it was when the strategies were developed. Sometimes I sat in and you know, when you sit in and then you see the strategizing process, when you're watching and you're in the stadium and you're watching, you have a better sense of what is happening. Yeah. Because you know what they are doing, you know what instructions they were given, you know why they are passing long balls, you know why they are doing things in a certain way. Because they've assessed their opponent and they say, okay, look, they have 4 deadly strikers, so make sure that the ball doesn't get to this part of the field. Do this. Make sure the ball remains here, and you use this route to get to this other person. So anytime you get a ball, pass it this way, and then use this route. Always use this route. I mean, so you are in the stadium watching the ball. You were in the room with them when they were strategizing, so you can follow the game better and understand tactically what is happening on the pitch. I had that benefit. I enjoyed it, but I'm not in a position to assess. Yeah,
so I mean, from your point of view, everything was fine. Let's talk about preparations before they went. There were many people who expected the sports ministry, the GFA, to come public with how much it was going to cost to send the Black Stars, how much government was putting in terms of money. Are you able to share with us what preparations in terms of cost went into all of this?
Yeah, I think that in the past, we've made a lot of mistakes, and administratively in our management of football, and it's high time that we stood our grounds and corrected those mistakes. In fact, yesterday I was saddened when I was in Equatorial Guinea, and I was with the boys in the morning, consoling them, I got a call from, I believe it was Joy FM, and the question you were interested in was, what was the budget for the tournament? I was so sad.
Why?
I had never felt
if journalists wanted to know,
I had never felt so sad.
Tournament.
I had never felt so sad like that, because I felt that, oh, if you are a Ghanaian, and the day after this tournament, when you missed Africa's most coveted
by just one goal,
inches, not even, I mean, just inches, by the straw of the hair, and your players will be grieving and etc. And that the following morning, the first thing you're asking about is the budget. What budget did you send to the tournament? As if anybody's running away with anything. There's a whole accounting system in this country, and everybody who is interested should first find out how is budgeting done and how is it accounted for. Let me tell you what happens. When the Ministry of Finance is presenting the budget to this House, Parliament, they present the budget of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. There's a component of the budget that is called goods and services. Now, with that budget, when associations are going to tournaments, be they athletics, boxing, or football, they are ordinarily supposed to raise their own funds to go for those tournaments. When they are unable to raise their own funds, then they apply to us for assistance. When they apply to us for assistance, they come and then we sit and then we have a discussion. What do you want to do? Then they will say, we are going to training camp. So why are you going to training camp? So we're going to XYZ country. Okay, how many people are going? This number of people, that number of people. So okay. So airfare to and fro, or are you connecting direct from that country to the competition venue, whatever it is. So we have a sense of where you are going and then a sense of how much it will cost you. So you convince us, you have to convince us from your figures and your numbers, how you are getting there and etc. If you are going for training camp, definitely you have to take care of yourself that you are going for training camp. So your accommodation, the feeding and per diem of the players and every other consumables that they need. We have a sense of how much it costs. So we budget for that. Then the next thing is you are going to a tournament. Some tournaments, the organizers take care of how you get there and how you return. For instance, with the World Cup, you know, the organizers, FIFA, takes care of your travel in and out. But they give you a cap, say, we'll take care of only 50 people. And so if you have to send more than 50 people, then you have to take care of the extra number. So we get to know the numbers that are going extra that we need to take care of. In the case of CAF, they don't take care of your transportation. You have to find a way of getting to the tournament. So that is another component of the budget. And but when you get there, they take care of your accommodation. That is a certain number of the team, 35 or something. They take care of your accommodation, and then your transportation to the stadia and back. And then if you have to move from one part of the country to the other, like we did from Mongomo to what's it called, Malabo, and then from Malabo back to Bata, those internal movements are taken care of by the organizers. And then your feeding, I think, those kind of things. You may choose not to be fed by them. And I don't allow my team to be fed, because all sort of things happen in football. So you want to make sure that you send your chef, you cook for them, you are sure of what they are eating and drinking, and nothing happens to the integrity of the health of your team. You're in control of everything. So what, the GFA went through all these procedures? Yeah, everything. They sit with me. I don't take chances. I sit with them. I go item by item. What I'm not convinced about, if I think the number of people are going are too much, I'll say, well, I don't think you need this number, so you have to cut down the number. If you have money somewhere to sponsor them, that's okay, because I know you have other sponsors apart from the ministry. Or we even share the responsibility. So, okay, look, we know you have some money, so why don't you take care of this one so that we too will take care of this other assignment. And then what is usually the source of controversy is the bonus. Because as for the the administrative things,
planning,
yeah, those things you have to go and bring that.
So
receipt.
you were satisfied with whatever they
bring
brought.
receipt. You go and bring receipt if you say you are living in a hotel. You bring the receipt. If you are able to go and then connive with people in that country to get fictitious receipts, then maybe it means that we don't have a control over that because people in that country are breaking their country's laws. But you come and then you account for whatever it takes. The issue usually has to do with the bonuses. For me, I think that in football, depending on how satisfied you are with somebody's performance, you're often willing to pay anything. You know, people buy, footballers at $40 million, $100 million. We all sit, we marvel at what went into deciding that somebody is worth $100 million. So we sit down, we negotiate, we agree that, okay, if you win first match, we give you $10,000. If you win second quarterfinal, we'll give you $13,000. If you win this, we'll give you $50,000. If you win that, we'll give, it's a structure. I mean, there are things that inform the structure.
The structure.
Sometimes the players
are you able to tell us?
The players themselves will tell you that sometimes it's good to push them to fight for something in addition to the desire to win. Provide some additional motivation to get them to fight each match. So it's a principle. You decide whatever it is, and then if you agree with it, you approve it for them. When you approve it for them, I hear people say, "Oh, and the budget has to be approved by cabinet." The budget doesn't get approved.
Are you able to tell us how much the ministry put in towards the pre-preparations and the question?
I'm not holding any paper here, so I don't want to give you any figure that
What about
later on when I give you the accurate figures, you say that the minister
in terms of bonuses?
I'm not holding any figure here, so I'll present a report. I'll present
stage 20,000, 30,000.
That's the other issue I have. I have a problem with the
journalists,
the effort to make the discussion of the bonuses that players get a big issue.
Is it not a big issue? Is it not a big issue?
You haven't faced a real fight. You haven't led them into a contest. If you lead them into a contest,
I will understand that.
You will understand. You will understand that it's not the biggest of the issues.
What is the biggest of the issues then?
The biggest of the issues is to win.
And they didn't win.
Who told you? They won. I mean, they won up to the finals. So every battle is important. Every match in the stages from preliminary stages to semi-finals to quarterfinals is so crucial. That's how you get to play the finals. And even the finals, I mean, the whole world could see that, yeah, they didn't win, but people.
They did incredibly
listen,
well.
What do you call it? GNPC. Before they went into the match, called me and said, look, this match is so crucial. We really want your boys to win. Tell them that if
they win,
we'll give them $25,000.
But that has become a big issue.
The boys say, okay. Boys say, okay. They fought hard. They didn't win. But GNPC, looking at it, said, no, even though you didn't win, you did so well that we still feel we should honor our promise. There was no promise to give you if you don't, but we're so impressed with your performance
that we'll go ahead with this.
We'll go ahead with what we
promised.
We promised.
So this promise, 25,000, does it go to each player or
it goes to each player?
30 people
every
in
player,
the team,
every player.
What about the members of the team? The other
the coach, the coach and his assistant, all of them. They
all
get
of
to
them. So that's about how many people? Like 30.
Yeah, I think so. About 30 people.
That's a lot of money, isn't it? And people are asking, they've been asking questions whether this could not have been put to other better use. I mean, considering that GNPC.
You think that motivating the boys to go and play is not a better use? That's your judgment. I think that it's a very, very good use of the funds. The boys deserve it. I mean, sometimes people, in the comfort of their chairs, can say all sorts of things, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to do what they did. And I can assure you that there are countries that were willing to pay 10 times more to get to where we got to, and who are not even as rich as we are, whose economies are not better than our economies. But I believe that they were willing to pay 10 times what we are giving the boys to get to where we got to. I think that it is high time we appreciate ourselves. I think this country, we need to begin to appreciate ourselves, to appreciate what we have, to appreciate our institutions, and to appreciate our qualities. We can be critical, we can ask questions, and etc., but I can assure you that this is a great nation, except that we keep telling ourselves every day that we are not great. We keep telling ourselves that we are not capable. We keep telling ourselves that we are too poor. After what those boys did, to give each of them $25,000, what is that?
So what informed the decision to pitch this reward in dollars? I mean, couldn't it have been 25,000?
Is your problem the currency in which it is expressed?
Yes.
You can convert it into cities and discuss it in those terms.
So it really doesn't matter?
Yeah, it does. You can say it was 75,000 Ghana cedis, still the same.
Still the same. Now let's talk about development of football and sports. Beyond all this, I mean, the question I asked about the 25,000 coming from GMPC, and I also said that...
Indeed, I'm encouraging other corporate sponsors to show appreciation, because that's how you motivate people so that next time they will do even better. And in the process, you know, I believe that ultimately Ghana will benefit, because when they go back to Europe, we are likely to see a lot more teams looking for them and probably paying them higher salaries. And where do those salaries go to? A lot of it comes back here. They come and buy houses, come and take care of their family members, and etc. So overall, your economy, you know, benefits. So I mean, today, people are being bought in Europe for $100 million. It should have been a Ghanaian. Why couldn't have been a Ghanaian? If we develop our players to that level through platforms like this and get them good coaches like Avram Grant and etc., in future people could be buying them for $100 million. And even if they spend half of it in Europe and then the other half gets into this country, overall, the economy has benefited. It's an investment.
Now, I was earlier wanted to ask you a question about developing the sports beyond this game. I mean, there are many people who say that government will have to put in a lot. The sports ministry and the GFA all need to put a lot into developing the sports beyond just the individuals, the team members. So are there plans really to ensure that a certain structure or system exists to help the team develop and get better at each tournament?
I mean, you could see that happening even in this tournament, that really each stage of the competition there was an improvement. There was an improvement. Every match was better than the previous one. You know, we did better than the previous one. So clearly, the work of improving sports generally and the game of football has begun. We're having discussions with the GFA and the technical team. What happened is a demonstration of what really needs to happen for us to do well. One, that you need good technical capacity. I mean, this was an issue that was outlined when I held that conference of eminent persons, if you recall, at the Best Western Hotel, where we discussed the development of football. We agreed that the problem with football is that our technical capacity has been weak. If you recall, it led to a whole battle over whether or not the coach should be changed, and that I was forcing that the coach should be changed, and I was imposing Avram and all those things. But when he came, and when he brought along a team of experts to help him, you know, we insisted on the team working with our team so that they will be learning. And you saw the impact when you have good technical support. So we need to invest in developing the technical departments of football and sports generally. So the lesson is that it's not just football, but every other sport, the technical support. Then, you know, being able to scout and select the best players. The whole system where players or athletes for a tournament are chosen capriciously on the basis of people's personal interests, that i.e. they come from their clubs or this and that, has to be done away with, so that there is a fair, unbiased criteria for determining who gets chosen to represent the country, either in athletics or in football, and at all levels, junior or senior, because the quality of that person then makes it easy for the technical team to now work on and produce the best, results. And then, as a country, to be able to create a mass of available resources from whom to select for use in competitions will also depend on the infrastructure that is available across the country. So we need to develop school sports, and as we speak, we are in the process of establishing 10, sports academies in each of the regions. 10 sports academies, one in each of the regions. We've chosen the 10 senior high schools that will be developed into sports academies, and we are actually in the process. There's actually a team in the field now assessing the infrastructure of these schools and what needs to be developed in these schools for them to have the right kind of infrastructure to take in the best performing sports boys and girls in schools in the region, and they will be housed in that school and trained, and we will send the experts to live there and then try and develop the capacities of So you need to grow the talent from the schools, because most children are now in schools. It's not like those days when many children were really out of schools, and some of the children just became naturally talented by spending all their time playing football, and then they became talents. Now most children are in school if you look at the enrollment ratios. So you need to find them in the schools, keep them in the schools, make sure you have an excellent blend of academic work and also good training to unearth the talents in them, and have a system of feeding them into national teams, and then the junior ones, and then to the senior teams. So those, and then you need to have infrastructure generally across the country for sports. Each region should have a proper training facility, a stadia, and then also you have to develop
these are all part of the long-term development of the game
measures that we are working on and trying to put in place, and we don't want to restrict it to just football. It has to be for all the other.
All this takes money. That's why I asked if the 25,000 coming from GMPC for this reward couldn't have been put into the development of sports rather than paid to the individual players.
You need to reward individual players who have exhibited commitment, who have demonstrated, talent, skills, and etc. Because ultimately they are individuals. They go home to families. They have friends, they have wives and children, and etc. And they must feel that what they are doing is rewarding to them personally, apart from being satisfying to them emotionally. And so you need a blend of the reward system that motivates, at the same time also you need to find other ways of investing in infrastructure. And that is why this week, actually, we are launching the sports lottery. It was so hard to get any corporate entity to take on any bill, because they said, look, we want to support, but we don't like this negative media publicity around it, as if somebody is committing an offense supporting a national cause. So many people were shying away from supporting the Black Stars, and so it dampened the spirit generally. We went there determined to fight so that we can change that negativity. And I get surprised that even after that, still, people won't focus on the positive, the fact that yes, the boys worked very hard, they redeemed themselves, they have demonstrated their willingness to die for their country, they have made Ghana very... You should have been there to hear all the positive things that non-Ghanaians were saying about Ghana and the Black Stars. And you come home and then people are asking, how much money did you send there? I'm like, how much money did you give me? How much money did you give me to send there? I was given my budget was approved in this house in Parliament by the Parliament of Ghana, and the Auditor General is appointed to come and audit me. So wait till I finish and go and present my report to the Auditor General, and then see if he would find any. I think that the cynicism has to stop somewhere. We need to demonstrate that there are some things beyond which we will not introduce certain attitudes. Accountability has its processes and mechanisms. So that's why I said I was very sad when the morning after we had narrowly missed it and we're all grieving. The first question I got from Joy FM
how much did
was, how much did it cost? Honestly, I was very sad, to be frank with you. I mean, I was very sad. I thought that there would be a time to discuss, budget. I'm yet to come and even make a statement to Parliament. You don't even know whether the statement will contain the details of the budget, because that's the proper framework. Those are the institutional arrangements for accounting. Parliament approved the budget to the ministry. So Parliament is responsible for checking. Not one person sitting on a region asking me, how much money did you spend? How much money did you give me?
Right, Honorable, we're grateful for your time on today's Big Story. We'll be speaking to Honorable Mahama Yaraga, who is the Sports Minister. My name is Stephen Antia. This has been today's Big Story.